Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's the Rodfather 916. And today I want to talk about relationships. Now, before I go any further, I'm not an expert. I haven't written any documents. I don't have any degrees in relationships or psychology or psychiatry or any of that. I'm a man in his 60s who has lived a long time and have made mistakes. And these are sometimes based on my observations. So I hope you can hang in there with me for a few minutes and let's talk about relationships. Relationships, by their very nature, are just complicated. The parts are always moving, shifting over time. Um, who you like today, you may not like as much next day. You know, how many people today who are in their 30s hang out with their friends in junior high school or high school? Do you know where they are? I mean, you were thick as Steve in school, but now you don't really have anything in common. That happens sometimes in relationships. And and when I say for relationships, I mean friendships as well. When you are in a relationship with somebody, you do evolve over time. Just life does that to all of us. Who you are at 20, you may be completely different at 40, at 50, at 60. It's what life throws at us. Right now we have COVID, and it has changed the way the world was. 3 years ago, if somebody sneezed, nobody cared. Today, somebody sneezes, people changes. I find in relationships, marriages at least, the marriages that last a long time, they seem to do some type of inventory. Because the truth is, nobody likes everything about everybody. You know, there are things you don't like about your children. There are things you love your children, but there's certain things they do you don't like. And there's some that you just tolerate. I find in relationships, I used to work at many years ago, I worked at Montgomery Ward's, and most of the customers and buying appliances where I worked had been buying things at Montgomery Ward's and Sears for years. And I would ask couples who'd been together for years, like, what's the secret? And people would say things like, well, when she gets upset, I go out on a cigarette. I go out on the porch and have a cigarette. I think they take inventory. You know, I don't like this about her or him, and I can't stand this about him or her. But you know what? They're with me. I don't have to question their love. I know where they are at night. We fight, but we work together as a couple. And we've been a couple through thick and thin for years. So, no, I don't like about this, and I don't like that about there, but based on everything, I got a good woman. I got a good man. Maybe that's something we need to teach to our children. Take inventory of everything. Everything. I didn't teach that to mine. But I wonder, because today people leave because of socks, because they smell funny, they double tip their chips. I just can't stand it and I'm out of here. I'm going to find me somebody better. If it were that easy. It's always green on the other side. But I want to talk about two areas of relationships, and one of those being today, and the other one's being forever. Today it was like booty calls. You know what they were? Friday night is 10 minutes after 7. I'm sorry, 10 minutes after 10. You need something warm. Hey, how you doing? What you doing? Oh, you watching TV? Can I come watch TV with you? Person on the phone is not stupid. They know what's up. You come over, the transaction happens. May not call them again, ever. And there's no expectations of another rendezvous. No gift exchanges, don't need to know nobody I know. It was a transaction which often begins and ends the same place, particularly if I come back, months later. And there's nothing wrong with that transaction. If it works for you, do it. I was married for a long time, long time. Last thing I wanted to do was be in a relationship. Today worked for me. I did make an error. I fell into lust over somebody who was spectacular looking. Still is today. Spectacular looking. I was told, straight up, I've been married 3 times. I've been divorced 3 times. I'm not looking for nothing serious. Light and breezy. Let's keep it moving. But just being in the presence, my value went up. Walked in, people go, Rod Father. Sometimes we grow up, sometimes we don't. But I fell in lust, and I wanted more. But that was on me. So I say that to say it to you. If you catch feelings with people easy, then hookups today, booty calls, that's not for you. And that's okay. Nobody's keeping store. Nobody's, you're not going to be put on blast unless you tell people or you make that mistake and put it on social media. That's not for you. So I'm going to spend a short time or longer time talking about relationships forever. We've been taught that you should be in a relationship. You're nothing without a relationship. There was a time that if a woman was 23 years old in America and wasn't married and didn't have kids by 24, she was going to be a spinster and an old maid. There are people who today believe if a woman reaches a certain age and she's single, she's a failure. Completely untrue. There are many people who are single, who've chosen not to have kids, who live fantastic lives. But there are people who believe, I'm nothing without a companion. And sometimes they leap at the first person that shows them any type of attention. And sometimes on the first night, you decide, based on you like blue, they like blue, you both like Seinfeld and I Love Lucy and Italian food, we should get married or move in together. But you know nothing about that person. And that's where the danger is. There's some people who believe you should wait a year or so before you get in a relationship, at minimum. If you haven't met friends, family, if you don't know this person has a steady job or lives with their parents or lives on sleeps on a cot or is unemployed, if you haven't asked any questions, more often you're asking for trouble. But those questions are not sexy. And the heart has one purpose, it's for love. It doesn't want to hear the other, and so it doesn't ask those questions. So you learn that you're living with a pedophile. Somebody's been accused. Or somebody who just doesn't hold down a job. Or somebody who quits their job. Or somebody who doesn't pay their bills. Somebody who's had repossessions and credit card and they have bad credit. But you love them so much that you're going to change them. That's the heart lying to you. Because the reality is, people change if they want to change. They don't change because of you unless you are holding them down, meaning you're paying all the bills. Yeah, they'll change until they can find a new situation. So the question I have is, You need to wait and know something about these people. If you haven't met friends, family, you know nothing about where they work, how they keep a job. You're asking for nothing but trouble. You don't have to believe me, but you know people who are in this situation right now. You know someone somewhere, unless you're in some bubble on an island where you're the only other inhabitant, but you have a friend, a girlfriend, a relative. You know this is happening. And my question is, why don't you deserve better? Why isn't taking mediocre, taking someone just to have someone enough? Why do you always want to be mad in that relationship? You're not happy because you're resentful. They didn't misrepresent themselves. You didn't ask the questions. You're hopeful that what you heard was going to change. But that person's got 8 kids. They don't pay child support. They live with their grandmother and they're 47 years old. They look fantastic. They have great cars. But they don't pay their bills. And now you've moved in with them and you are supplementing their lifestyle. They're not a partner, they're dependent. You've got a second job because he had to have a subwoofer and new rims. And he was tired of the man yelling at him, so he quit his job. She likes to look good. She always looked good. Dressed like $1 million. She works at Walmart. Shops at Neiman Marcus. Nails 150. She can't pay her part of anything this month. But she'll do it next month. At least that's what she's said the last 3-4 months. And yet this is the person you want to spend your life with. Angry and resentful. Aren't you worthy of something better? Wait. You don't want somebody who's dreaming. You want to support them. There's nothing wrong with the dreamer, but meanwhile, that person has to work. You can have dreams, but the bills are due on the 1st or on the 15th. You can support that person. But if all that person has the dream, no. I met somebody at a convenience store selling CDs. He's a rapper. I said, where do you perform? He goes, nothing, I'm just selling my CDs. He told me he had 3 kids. I'm going, the woman who's you with is a fool. Because her family in the state of California is supporting those kids while he has a dream. And that dream is more important than a 9 to 5. That's not somebody you want. I'm a father, man. My kids are going to hear it. They're all grown now, but they would hear it. You're not worthy of someone, a partner. I'm not suggesting that person has to be a millionaire, has to have a lot of money, but he needs to have a basic fundamental of a job to pay bills. If you got a job that's only paying $6 an hour, and that's okay with you, there's a problem there, because your rent's $1,000. Why are you going to hook up your wagon to somebody like that? Why do you want to make your job, your life harder? Why? So think about that. There's nothing wrong with a dreamer, but he's got to have a job. Got to have a job. Got to pay bills. You want a partner. I want somebody to meet me in the middle of the street. That's the minimum. They have to meet me in the middle of the street. Because what I've learned through the years, if I do all the heavy lifting at the beginning of the relationship, I'll be doing all the heavy lifting throughout the relationship. Who wants that? I want somebody to share the load. I don't want them to do the heavy lifting, but I don't want to do it all myself. I'm worthy of that. And so are you. This is Rod Father, wishing you love, joy, and happiness. Thank you for watching. The Rod Father is out. Bye now.